And hello, this is Matt Bradley-Tschirgi. We're taking a look at Chrono Trigger on SNES. This is the Steam version, had a new patch with 4K settings and all that. But that's not, I'm kind of playing it at 720p on this computer, but whatever. We'll play from the beginning and see where we get. Fun stuff. So they did some changes on the Steam version. Originally, when it launched, wasn't so hot. But you can do graphics, high resolution. It has this weird filter. It doesn't look that good. Original is better, and they make the map graphics look better on top of that. So that's cool. Battle mode active. Wait, active is the thing with Chrono Trigger. Interface, gamepad, keyboard, as opposed to what? Touchpad, mouse? Nope, because this was also on mobile. All that fun stuff. If you want to chat, I'll be happy to chat. But Chrono Trigger, we'll play some at the beginning and see how things go with all that jazz. I promoted it on the socials, as the kids say. So let's go and have some fun here. Whoop, wrong window. There we go. At the time, this was impressive on Super Nintendo. There wasn't, maybe you'll get a pixel remaster of Chrono Trigger because we have a Chrono Cross release coming up. So that's a sequel to Chrono Trigger, but it's not that closely related until you find out secrets towards the end. I see this overrolled map. This was a late period SNES game. It has all these animations and all these things. This was based on the DS version of the game, more or less. Chrono. I mean, this is the stereotypical intro to a SNES RPG. The character has amnesia, sort of, right? Chrono, are you sleeping? Not a great introduction to the game. This is the mother. Come on, sleepyhead, it's time to get up. And you got a cat, right? Fun stuff. Opening the lights. Dear me, I'd forgotten how beautiful Lane's bell sounds. You must have been so excited about the Millennial Fair that you couldn't sleep last night, could you? Well, you better not let that giddiness get you in trouble. I want you to behave yourself today. Come on now, out of bed with you. So, I mean, this beginning, as I just pointed out, is not great. On the other hand, the music by Yatsunori Mitsuda, Nobuo Uematsu did a few tracks, but that's not till later in the game. It's just so solid. I'm just adjusting the volume here on my side. There we go. That's a bit better. Anyhow, you go around. It's a very cliched opening to an RPG, but there's a festival in town, and that's all you really know. And it thrusts you into the new world right away. You didn't really have tutorials and stuff back then. So what do we do with it? We can look around and see what we can interact with. This is something new with the recent patch. It has an exclamation point when you near something interactable. That's taken from Final Fantasy IX that had these options. And some of these it looks like a typewriter or something, a little sailboat. And, is that a radio? Can we change stuff in the station? No. A lot of stuff is not interactable because of the limited storage, right, on these cartridges for the SNES. Later, this came out on PS1, weirdly as part of a Final Fantasy compilation with, I believe, Final Fantasy IV and Chrono Trigger, at least in the States, were on the same disc. And that one had bad load times. The Steam port, which also was the version for mobile, was pretty bad at the beginning, but they've adjusted it over the time. Recently with this patch that does some things like 21:9 support. If you had an ultra-wide screen monitor, it supports stuff like that. By the way, we're going to see, oh dear, what was your name? That yet adventurous friend of yours. Luca. So I have not really played, this is based off the DS translation, more or less. I've only played the SNES version, really. That's right, Luca, you're going to stop by and see your new invention at the fair, aren't you? Apologize for my terrible voice acting. Well, run along then, and be back before dinner. Right, so this is a slow, gentle introduction to the plot and stuff of the game, and there's the cat, and can you You can hear the meow, meow stuff in the background. Is that a bag of tomatoes or apples? You can't really tell. The mother is doing stuff here and there. Oh, I almost forgot. Here's your allowance. Have fun at the fair. Obtain 200G. In the original version, I believe it was Jill or Gil or whatever. Can I get stuff from the fridge? You know, even stuff like Earthbound, which was before this game and looked more simplistic, had more interactivity than this, but the cat does follow you around. But, it's charming. You're at a house. There's salad on the table. There's this is recognizable as a house, right? At the time, on the original SNES version, the little sprite for Chrono was like, I don't know, like 4x2 or something. You could barely make out what was happening. So in this remake, he looks bigger. You have things like market. This tech stuff wasn't even in the original version, so it's ease of use. It even shows in the corner, 1000 AD, showing the time period, which, given the title Chrono Trigger, it has to do with like time zones and not time zones, but like time periods and stuff. So all of that is really quite important. If you want to chat, feel free, and please, if you like what you see, give me a subscribe and follow and all that. I'm Matt Bradley-Tschirgi. I've written some books. I work in the game industry. I've written a book on the films of Uwe Boll, the video game movies, and on how to buy a PlayStation 5, all that stuff. Check that out at my website, matwbt.com, or follow me on Twitter at matwbt.com. So see, there's like residence, that's a pretty lame translation. Truce Inn, Mayor's Manor, Market, residence. Okay, right, so it's weird they don't say like, which is your house, right? They're walking around. There's Luca's house, so they said the inventress. Why don't we see what's happening there first? Is she at her house? Is her mom there? What's going on? At the beginning, you didn't know what to interact with, but in this kind of recent patch they did within the past week, which is frankly shocking for a game that's 25 years old at least, it shows exclamation points where you can interact with things. To give you a bit more of a nudge, that's the mother, who I think is disabled. Lara. Oh, hello, Chrono. Luca's off at Lena Square with her father, Taban, unveiling her new invention. And, it doesn't have, like, new text and stuff. Typically, you pick through the house, see different items and so forth to see what to scavenge, right? Oh, can I get something from the pot? All this sort of things. In this game, you really can't. But in some of the other stuff, you can. When I play this game, I think of other RPGs from this era, and I'd like to see, kind of get a sequel or even kind of compilations released from modern systems. I think of the Capcom series Breath of Fire. It had 5 titles, 2 for the SNES, 2 for PlayStation 1, and 1 for PlayStation 2 that was more of like a rogue-like Dragon Quarter, right? Really hard game. But I'd like to see stuff like that. This stuff with the sprite looking sweaty and stuff is kind of cute. Market. Oh, there's a little sheep. Visit our stall in Lene Square. Okay, right, so the game is telling you what? To go to Lene Square. Big deal. But it's giving you a hint at the beginning of the game of where to go. So, all that jazz, let's keep on going. Market. Residence. Whose residence? Oh, this is someone else's residence, a random person's house. That girl Luca was over in this square going on about how she'd made the discovery of a lifetime. Very good. And what about this? Something tells me I'm as happy now as I'll ever be, right? So it's as we can tell from the music, it's very pastoral. You see there's stuff like on the fridge, but you can't really get items from the apple cart and all these things. Chrono's house, it does... That'd be nice if you could have the cat as a item or something. Truce Inn. Oh, what about this? Ferry office? Yeah, let's see if there's a secret item here. There's this person here. The Ferry to Pori is 10G. Will you be going? Nope. A mysterious whirlpool sometimes appears near here. What do you suppose could cause such a thing? Right, so it's trying to say there's some weird stuff going on in town. What about this? If only my dear Fritz would return. I'd ask for nothing more. He left on a journey and he's not yet returned. So it's the beginning of the game, and on purpose, you're gated here, right? You cannot go to that many different places. Oh, let's see what's at the inn. Is there an item or something? We see there's a bar, bartender. Lodging is 10G. Would you like to stay for the night? Nope. Let me know if you change your mind. What does this guy say? You've been to the fair yet? Nope. What? What are you doing here then? You'll have to wait 1,000 years for another millennial fair. The festivities are in Linné Square, just up north. More tents and stalls, and you can shake a stick at. Okay, what's this little waitress say? Welcome, welcome. Make yourself at home. I suppose you won't be waiting long, though. Oh, I hope my shift ends soon, so I want to go to the fair, too. Very good. And this person? Say, can you spare 10G to buy me a drink? Okay, why not? Thanks, let me play you a song in return. Ah, right, so this overworld theme we'll hear later in the game. It's kind of chill, like acid jazz, like a lot of Chrono Trigger music tends to be. And it's a bit of melancholy, and part of the story is kind of sad in this game, part of it's kind of happy. You know, it's a good mixture of things that go on. So we can see, is there anything to steal from upstairs? What does this man say? Remember that an earthquake we had the other day? Nope. You're an oblivious one, aren't you? Well, never mind then. But if we go back, remember the earthquake we had the other day? You know, you can just say the right thing, right? Yes. We've been having far too many lately. Hope it's not a sign of something bad about to happen. So that's called foreshadowing. And, oh, what's this over here? This box has been handed down for generations. Should you somehow manage to open it, you're welcome to the contents. A mysterious force seals it shut. You know, we'll find out what's in there later, much later in the game if memory serves. So we'll go back down through here. So what's happening? Okay. So we've been through a residence, another residence, market. Let's see what's at the... Oh, that's right. The market says it was at the place. Chrono's house, residence. What's in this residence next door to Chrono's house? This little lady. It's hard to believe our kingdom has stood for 1,000 years. Our king is the 33rd descendant to the throne of Guardia. It's a miracle he can manage to rule the kingdom when he can't even keep his own daughter in hand. I'll turn this down 1 pip. Okay, there we go. All right. She's probably throwing a fit at the castle this very moment, demanding he let her go to the fair. So not much to say here, but it's we can see the radio, you know, the tomatoes or apples or whatever, some of these reused sprites, all good stuff. So let's keep on going. And there's the fair. I want to see, you know, the equipment. Excuse me. I have a wooden sword, high top, hide tunic, headband, you know, nothing very special. Why not level up some in the forest? As a kid, especially, you know, a game I had on NES as a kid was Willow, based on the movie. A pretty good kind of Zelda knockoff. And you can do the forest, you know, what else can we do here? But the thing is, in the game, you're pretty weak, and I always had a rule in the back of my mind that you could get up to level 5 before doing the first few quests, and it would kind of let you... get to the point of what was going, you know, it would kind of buff your character a bit. So why don't we explore some of these areas before going to the fair, which the game so desperately wants us to get to. Maybe we'll get our ass kicked, maybe we'll die, let's see. It may not seem like it by modern standards, but all this animation and stuff is like super specialized and so forth in this game. And originally the font was much worse in this PC port. They've improved so much since launch. When I first got this game, I was quite frustrated because I saved a lot of money to get it, and I got it for $90 on SNES, the local kind of shifty indie video game store. Was the only place they had it in stock. It wasn't in stock that many places, and I only got to play like the first 30 minutes of the game before going on a Boy Scout camp out at the time. I was in 8th grade, you know, kind of a bit old to be in Boy Scouts and all that stuff. Oh, this little... Birdie's gonna set off the bad guys, these little beetle dudes. But all this animation is like really unique, and they gotta go diagonally and all this stuff. It may seem quite crude now, but it was a huge deal at the time, certainly. Just doing simple attacks, because I don't think he has any tech moves. Tech is like special moves that use MP. Although sometimes they can be spells. But it's all, I think, under tech or spells or something in this game. It's been a while since I've played through it. So if we look at our stats, I am at level 2. I get 36 points to the next level. Do I have any new tech? I can do Cyclone or Wind Slash, so just defensive stuff. No, I find these games get easier when you get like healing spells, all that stuff. By default, you run fast, or if you hold down the my PlayStation controller, it's a circle key. But why does this game let you explore this much at the beginning? Stop right there, soldier. Civilians aren't allowed in here. Why don't you go enjoy the festival like the other kids? So clearly the game is trying to force you to go to the festival. But you can still, fight things, get experience points, kind of explore a bit. But the game is trying to railroad you into doing the festival, which is where the main plot starts. So if we do Cyclone, maybe I'll do it here, and he can damage nearby enemies if memory serves. Part of an appeal of this game, Chrono Trigger, not only do you have the different time zones, or time periods, excuse me, is there's like a dozen endings to the game, and when you rebeat the game, you can do New Game Plus and keep some of your stats and equipment and all these things, and you can actually beat the game just as Chrono, which is pretty hard, but if you have the skills, you can do it. So if I do inventory, I'll use a potion, alright, and I'll heal up, then I can fight these things with less impunity as before. And when you listen to this track and think of other SNES games at the time, even things like Final Fantasy 4, 5, and 6, this has a lot more different layers going on. The composer, Yasunori Mitsuda, it likes to do percussion, all this beat. It has a lot going on. This is really kind of like the heights of what the SNES could offer. Even that little kind of screaming sound as the enemies come awake, that it's not purely random. You can kind of sneak around these enemies and not have to do random battles was a big deal at the time. So you can't explore everywhere you want on this, but, maybe we'll see, oh, what's on the bridge? Can we get into a fight? Can we do anything? Oops, excuse me. Probably not. We can talk to people. I'm opening a stall at the fairgrounds. Drop by if you get the chance. What does this guy say? Oh, I do love me a good fair. So, it's basically, I love you, mugs of mirth. A fair, we're going to the fair. You're trying to encourage the player, hey, you're not in the right direction. You really want to go to the fair. Thought I'd ought to see what's all this millennial fair fuss is about, right? So you're showing people going in the direction opposite where you were going as the player character Chrono, and all that. Why don't we see, he's still level 2. How much is it to get to level 3? 12 experience points. We should fight more people in the woods. Is there more, woods we can go to? What can we explore in this initial area? 20G paid in advance. That's a lot of money. Da, da. So, it's doing this very pastoral thing. Snail stop. What's here? Some monsters can coexist with humans. Take that piano player, for instance. So this is all setting up pipe for the plot in the future. I've got spiced jerky, but I've been saving it for a special occasion. I might let some go for, say, 9900G. How about it? Nope. I figured. 4 centuries ago, a woman named Fiona died trying to revive the great forest that once flourished to the north. It's a sad tale. So this is kind of foreshadowing for when you do time travel in the future. This guy's drinking beer. Everyone's off to that festival. Bunch of lazy sots. Burp. I'm the piano man. What do you want me to play? Play me a sad one? Let's say something upbeat. This music is later in the game when you do a bicycle, motorcycle kind of Mad Max style race. And let's have him play something sad. This might be like the desolate future where it's just like humans barely surviving with some of the robots or something. It's been a while since I've played this all the way through. Over a decade for sure. More than 20 years? No. But close to it. Residence. They really should have had something there besides residence. That's not a great translation. I want to go to the fair too. So again, it's, telling you to go to the fair. Granny Gramps went to the Millennial Fair in Truce. We're keeping an eye on the house. Okay. And you can't like pickpocket and get treasure chest and all these things. Oh, the ferry office. Where can we go? I want to ride the ferry. Okay, fair enough. I take the ferry every chance I get. Great. A one-way ticket is 10G. Want one? No. Well, don't blame me if you regret it later. You'll love the trip, I guarantee. Okay, good enough. We want to save our money. And, there's nothing here in these other areas. We've talked to these different people. But that it lets you explore this much in the beginning while still telling you to go to the fair is quite something. Like maybe the market, we can purchase some things. See, I mean, this is right. So here we can buy things. The other place it said just go to the fair, man. So we only have 800G. And these weapons like iron bowgun, pea shooter don't work for the character. The steel saber we can see because Chrono animates. And it nearly doubles his strength from 9 to 16. 18 would be double. Also these other things. So why don't we try to like grind a bit and get good equipment, Why not? And then we can equip the steel saber. And then we will go and sell the wooden sword, which is something. And so what do we need for the other stuff? Padded vest, bronze armor, bronze helm. Okay, very good. So let's grind a bit, get the best equipment we can, and then go to the fair. And notice how the music changes dynamically. We have these seagulls. We have the extra layer of the transparent clouds. There's more going on, I think, than you could take for granted had you not grown up with these SNES games. These are really quite a big deal. Let's see who we can fight here to get experience and all this. Get the little mushroom dudes, right? Amanita. These, in this, which is based on the DS translation, the enemy names are all different from what is the version on SNES. More exotic sounding, more probably closer to the Japanese translations, as opposed to, kind of puns and so forth. I do want to go into settings, make sure everything is set to fast. So we can increase this, right? Fastest. Okay, great. Yep, so it works. I just want to make the text a bit faster. And we'll, we need about 200G to upgrade the helmet. And I think, what was it, like 600 or 500 or something to get the best armor. So why not? We got all the time in the world, as Louis Armstrong might have said. It's a reference to a James Bond movie. On Her Majesty's Secret Service. I'm enjoying a generic rosé. It's fine, not too sweet, a bit tart. I went up a level, right? So I'm level 3. Do I have any more techs? Nope, still Cyclone or Wind Slash. TP needed... Oh, I see. I can't even cast that until I have 71 TP. I only have 12. Interesting. So it's gated a different way, but we're pretty close to having enough to get the new helmet. And we can sell that and get more money and keep on grinding. And that's part of the fun, I think, of these RPGs. You can kind of get in a meditative Zen state, level up, all that stuff. If you want to chat, feel free. And if you like what you see, please follow my channel here, twitch.tv/matwbt. Sure, check out my YouTube at youtube.com/matwbt. Or excuse me, at youtube.com/sequelcast. And my Twitter at twitter.com/matwbt. Blah. Too many words. Yeah, so we have enough to get another piece of equipment, so let's go and do that. So what about the composer, Yasunori Mitsuda, right? This is the first thing he did most of the music for. He was supposed to do all of it, and he got ulcers, and Nobuo Uematsu, who did the Final Fantasy games, had to step in and do a few little tracks here and there, but it's so minor. It's really Yasunori Mitsuda's piece altogether. He originally did sound stuff at Square, did like sound effects for Final Fantasy V, and they were going to have him just do, sound effects for Chrono Trigger, and he said, fuck you guys, I want to do the music for this, otherwise I quit. And they said, okay, do it. And he worked so hard, he worked himself, sick, basically, and had to get ulcers removed. It was pretty sad. So, despite all that, he later did games like Xenogears, Saga, Episode 1, Der World du Wacht, and all this stuff. So, good for him, and he's done stuff all over the years for different soundtrack albums and things, and had his own studio for decades at this point. I really admire his work. I think it's the Nobuo Uematsu stuff. He did Final Fantasy 1 through 9 and Blue Dragon, other stuff along the years. His stuff is more like prog rock. Nobuo Uematsu, I'd say, is more acid jazz and kind of like Renaissance stuff, kind of chill, a different kind of vibe. And the two of them, I think, complement each other well here. And as far as a introduction, I mean, what we see here in Chrono Trigger is really quite something. So there you go. So what's going to go on here? So we still need to save up money for another piece of equipment. So let's go grind some more. Why don't we save? That might be good. These games do not autosave, right? So you got to keep on doing it. We're only 27 minutes into it, so why don't we go around and get the equipment upgraded, and that might be a good stopping point before we get to the fair. There's not, it doesn't do random battles, and that makes leveling up a bit slower in this game. That doesn't make it any less fun, and Chrono Trigger, definitely, as far as what was released in the US, it was really just kind of a real highlight. I think this might have been 32 megs or something. I mean, this cartridge had a lot of memory on it, which made it very expensive. And as I recall, buying it for that as a kid when I was making, like $5 an hour working at the grocery store or the movie theater or whatever I was working at the time. And this, you had the anime kind of graphic stuff. You had a lot going on, and it was really kind of a different era. I was reading the recent, or sort of recent boss fight books on Final Fantasy VI by Sebastian. I don't have his last name on hand at the moment, but anyhow, that book mainly talks about the music of Final Fantasy VI. And the author talked to the composer Nobuo Uematsu, and he said, it's kind of a shame we didn't do more games with kind of the super deformed Japanese style before moving on to the early polygonal style of like Final Fantasy VII. And I really have to kind of agree. It's it really got to such a highlight with this to see them on a PlayStation do it a bit more, and you got to see this 2D artwork kind of advance with more animation frames and stuff like Final Fantasy Tactics or Suikoden or stuff along those lines. There was no Shadow Hearts game that was a turn-based game before that had a kind of a trilogy or of sorts on the PlayStation 2 that was its own kind of 3D RPG thing. It's very fighting bugs. These enemies are very boring, and then it's made that way on purpose. It's trying to encourage the player to say, hey, this stuff sucks. Why don't you go to the festival? But because I'm a nerd, I just want to grind to get the best equipment before I go further on in the game. Chrono Trigger is not especially hard for an RPG, but it's the characters are so lovable. I think the time travel stuff, it gives a lot of food for thought, and I still feel this way now, but like at the time, I had a PlayStation 1. I saved a lot of money to get Chrono Cross, And I never really gelled with that game because I wanted it to be more adventures with these same characters, and that's not what it was. But in this new version that's coming to Steam and other platforms with Chrono Cross, it's going to have Radical Dreamers in English officially for the first time, which is a text adventure on a SNES Japanese-only satellite system that kind of set up the story for a prequel, if you will, to Chrono Cross. And so we'll have to see, what happens. I think all that's pretty cool. We'll have to see what goes on. You can read these signs, no trespassing, blah, 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 but it's just so limited in this opening area. That lets you level up at all. I think shows that there's some stuff to the game. If you're a more experienced player, you might do what I'm doing. You're grinding and exploring and trying to get the best equipment before you start the plot proper. And Chrono Trigger, if you never played it, this Steam version has been patched enough, certainly with the recent patch in the past week or so, that it's certainly worth buying for, I think it's around like $15 US, $15 or $20, something along those lines. And that's a good deal. It did have a version on the DS with extra dungeons and things. I believe that's in the Steam version, although don't quote me on that. I haven't really played this version that much, save for the latest patch, which kind of reintroduced my interest in it. So why does this game have enemies, right, that you don't have to do random battles in all the time? I think it was a criticism of the game at the time where you would take 5 steps and go in a random battle. And here, you have kind of these cues, like the bird, if you go too close to him, it starts the battle. Of course, with every battle, you get stronger, and it's really kind of less in economics, and you could even say if you're going to get, philosophical about it in life, and that, the more experience you have with something, the better you get at it. And that you want to have these battles, you want to have these challenges to get your character stronger, to get past difficult parts in the game, or whatnot. Develop things how you want. So as you can see, I'm just chrono at this part of the game. His hit points are not that great. In case you're wondering, I'm playing this at a 720p resolution because it's on a 1080p monitor. I'm curious, how much do I have to level up? Only 1 experience point to level 4. Ooh, that's exciting. I do think, with the success, or I presume it's the success of the Final Fantasy Pixel remasters, maybe we'll see versions of that done of Chrono Trigger and stuff. That we got a Chrono Cross re-release coming up on all the current console systems and on Steam. Excuse me. I did not tell it to pause. No. Stop it. Oh, you dumb controller. Hold on. The controller's being a bit on the fritz here. Hold on. It's gonna reconfigure this controller. Oh, it's so much fun playing this stuff on the computer, isn't it? There we go. I did it by jamming stuff in the keyboard somehow. I must have pressed escape spacebar by accident. So we went up a level. We're almost at the point I think we need, which I think is 500G or something like that, to get the best armor. So let's save the game and go back into the woods, fight some more, and then get the best armor. It'll be at a good stopping point. So I'm already at level 4 as a solo guy. We've had to make some have potions and stuff, but it's not incredibly difficult as we see. The game tries to ease you into it. That it even lets you fight stuff outside of the Millennial Fair, I think is a bit surprising, to be perfectly honest. But they want to kind of ease you into the game. If you're a more advanced player, like I am, you can go and explore around, get level up, get the best armor, or you can just go to the fair and goof around with the mini games, and no harm, no foul, right? the enemies don't level up as you do, as in some games like Elder Scrolls Skyrim, all that stuff. But think about that bird with the bell, right? You have like 5 frames of custom animation for something you only see maybe once or twice in the game. That's pretty impressive. Chrono Trigger famously was kind of it was called like a dream project. You had input from the people at Dragon Warrior in Japan, known as Dragon Quest at the time. The Final Fantasy people, combining to do a dream project, and of course the character designer Akira Toriyama was known for Dragon Ball Z, and also did character designs of things like the hero and the slime and all that for the Dragon Warrior series. So it's kind of like you had the equivalent of like the American Olympics dream team for basketball when that became an Olympic sport. Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, all these people right on the same team. Magic Johnson, all that stuff. 511, I think we have enough to buy the best armor available. Let's see if there's one more enemy we can fight. I think there is, so why not? In case we need the extra bit of money, we have it. So maybe with the Cyclone, we can... Some of these things, it's like area effect, but it only attacks the one enemy, not more than one. But you can kind of wait around and see if they gather closer to each other and hit more than once. It's a neat little new spin on the active time battle system for the Final Fantasy series. So there we go. We're biting these little mushroom dudes. Kind of boring as hell, but it's typical for these games. If it's like a Western game, you would fight rats in a sewer or slimes or these kind of things. What do we have for... Yeah, 69 points to get to the next level. That's not going to happen. That's too much work. Let's get the best equipment we can. Maybe we got to sell what we got. We can upgrade the armor and so forth. Chrono Trigger is on Steam. Maybe we'll see a re-release, like Pixel remaster this with new arrangements for the music, like with the Final Fantasy games. I think that'd be cool. I predict that Square will do the Pixel remasters on consoles, and I think that would be really cool. We'll just have to see. 520, I have enough money. Yay! Right? So we get the best of the best. We equip it on the person. And so before we can see this, we have 36. We have a 25 defense, goes up to 36. Perfect. And then if we sell the hide tunic, we only get 40G, but that's better than nothing. And now we can see, nothing causes his units to go to green, which means we should probably get the next thing. So with that, we will go in front of the Millennial Fair. Let's fight Gato, and then maybe we'll save the game and stop it there. Because the music for Gato is a robot that we fight to beat up to get silver points. And Lene Square... Lene, I don't know. I always thought as a kid, like, this guy's cashew head looked a bit like Quentin Tarantino's chin. Even that thing in the background with the music, da-da-da-da, ho! It was a big deal at the time. Today is the 1000th anniversary of our Kingdom's foundation. Enjoy the festivities. I surely would if I was your age. I mean, this piece of music, it's so relaxing to me, and a lot of that's nostalgia, of course. But that you can do all these mini games. This just felt, like endless as a kid. No game let you do this much. So early on in particular, but I want to fight this dumb-ass robot. My dear old wife made that lunch for me, always the highlight of my day, gives me the extra oomph when I'm worn down. Right, so you can steal the guy's food, or you can give it to the cat, or all these things have effects later in the game. Here's Gato, we got to do this. Iconic part of the game. They call me Gato, I have metal joints. If you can beat me up, you earn 15 points. Da, 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 da. So it's just like a meaningless like boss battle. Although he did quite a bit of damage to me right there. I should... wow, 13 points, I'm almost dead. Potion. Oh, am I going to die? I hope not. 50 points, good. Get a little super attack, 80 points. Oh no, I have lost. It seems you've won. Here's your 15 points. No, wasn't that fun? Da, 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 da. So I get this currency, kind of a microcurrency before that was really a thing with mobile games and so forth. You can keep on, but I mean, this seems so minor. You know, the little Mickey Mouse looking thing in the background. Now the cat's gonna follow me around. You got the animation of the flags. All this stuff was so big at the time. I cannot stress that enough. Da, da, da. And these people doing a race. You can participate in the race if you like. This is a good stopping point. So, you know, we'll save the game. I hope you learned some about Chrono Trigger, some of my experience playing this as someone who played it originally back in the day. And it's available on Steam with patches and stuff. Even if you have a 21:9 super pricey ultra-wide monitor, it'll look great on there. I'm Matt Bradley-Tschirgi. Be sure to follow me here, twitch.tv/matwbt, on Twitter, twitter.com at matwbt, and on YouTube at Sequelcast. I also do a podcast on movies and video games called Sequelcast 2 and Friends. Check that out, sequelcast2.com. I'll catch you later. Bye.